Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us. It's Wednesday, May 29th. You're watching News 2 on VIA Channel 4 and 504. I'm Leslie Kamisiang. Topping our stories tonight, federal funding is on the way to help support high school students at the educational complex. With more funding, the Junior Reserves Officers Training Corps program will be able to help serve more students and assist in developing citizens of character, dedication to serving their community.
23rd Army Command Band enlisted the support of the Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps at the educational complex. In preparing for the ceremonial activities welcoming the Virgin Islands National Guard incoming Adjutant General, the National Guard Band Commander Kevry Hendricks, who also serves as the band instructor at the educational complex, used a service learning educational approach to engage students.
And the project goes between the 73rd Army Band, the Virgin Islands National Guard, and the ROTC of the educational complex. It's a great opportunity for the kids to work with a full-time military organization, and it was also a great chance for the band to do its job. The job of the band is to bridge the gap between the civilians and the military to show civilians the more human side of the army or the military.
Only 4 years into conception at the educational complex, the JROTC program is the newest battalion command in the Virgin Islands. The Barracudas Battalion celebrated the commencement of their second battalion commander.
In the United States Virgin Islands as a champion essay writer. He is also noted within Cadet Command and coming from 6th Brigade Titans headquarters. He has this certificate of achievement for 6th Brigade Junior ROTC Essay Contest 2019 to Cadet Julian Aponte, top 4 in 6th Brigade.
The JROTC program is active in 4 of the Virgin Islands public high schools. In 2015, former high school principals and educational officials worked towards getting the Corps program active at the complex, but the program was largely funded by the Virgin Islands government. Senior JROTC area coordinator Eddie Gerard Charles informed that a new funding source would propel the program further.
We are getting ready to graduate our first senior cadets, all right, and we have been recognized for federal funding to start either the 30th of June, and they are trying to move it up to the 1st of June. That's going to free up for the territory 50% of the salaries of the instructors, and then bring in all brand new equipment, brand new uniforms.
The new Adjutant General nominee, Kojo Knox Limbacher, was announced in February. Governor Albert Bryan named Colonel Ivan Udell as the acting Adjutant General until Limbacher completes his required retirement process from federal active duty and begins his service as the new Adjutant General. For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
The JROTC program was originally created in 1916 and later expanded in 1964 under the ROTC Vitalization Act. Now, the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps stated that their purpose is to instill values of citizenship, personal responsibility, and a sense of accomplishment. Meanwhile, the Wang F. Louis Hospital finally has a final word from the Federal Emergency Management Agency on whether or not FEMA will fund the full replacement of the storm-damaged hospital or simply make repairs. Earlier this week, Government House announced that FEMA would cover the cost of replacing the hospital after it sustained severe damage during the Hurricane Maria in September of 2017. Now, according to Government House, FEMA found that the actual cost of the proposed replacement is eligible for FEMA funding because the estimated cost to make repairs exceeds 50% of the estimated cost to completely rebuild the hospital. According to Governor Bryan, this latest development is an opportunity for St. Croix to build a facility that is not only more comfortable for patients and staff, but also more energy efficient and strong enough enough to withstand severe weather. FEMA and the local government are currently working on a fixed cost estimate for the rebuild of Louis Hospital. Meanwhile, we will continue to use the modular units already installed on the sites while the new structure is being built. Turning our attention to crime, police on St. Thomas are looking for more information on a shooting that happened Monday. On Monday, May 27th, around 4 in the morning, officers were dispatched to the Roy Lester Schneider Regional Medical Center, where they made contact with a gunshot victim. The victim told police that he had just pulled up in his driveway when he heard multiple shots. He was hit in his right shoulder and transported to the Schneider Hospital. Anyone with information about this crime is urged to call the numbers on your screen. That's 774-2211, the Major Crimes Unit, at 714-9830, or the Criminal Investigations Bureau at 714-9807. You can also contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS or 911. On Tuesday, the Virgin Islands Police Department also executed an arrest warrant related to multiple illegal weapons charges. 37-year-old Linares Worrell was arrested on a warrant issued by a Superior Court judge and charged with 5 counts of possession of an unlicensed firearms. Now, additional charges against Worrell also include possession of an unlicensed firearm, automatic weapon / assault rifle, possession of an unlicensed firearm, automatic weapon, possession of unlicensed firearms within 1,000 feet of a school zone or private youth center, possession of an unlicensed ammunition, alteration of identity marks or obliterated serial number, and reckless endangerment in the first degree. All charges were based on a search warrant conducted on his residence. Worrell could not post the $100,000 bail, so he was turned over to the Bureau of Corrections pending his advice of rights hearing. Heads up to residents, especially motorists. The National Weather Service has issued a flash flood watch for the Virgin Islands for Wednesday through Thursday night. The flash flood watch impacts much of Puerto Rico, the entire U.S. Virgin Islands, as well as the British Virgin Islands. Expected rainfall for Wednesday was between 1 and 3 inches with isolated higher amounts, but these amounts are expected across a good portion of Puerto Rico as well. Thursday, meanwhile, is forecasted to have significant showers and thunderstorms that may hit Puerto Rico and the USVI. Overall rainfall is expected to range between 4 and 6 inches, with isolated higher amounts through Thursday evening. Residents are urged to be vigilant, and flash floods are very dangerous. So monitor your weather forecast and be ready with a plan should a flash flood warning be issued. We'll have more on the weather on our News 2 AccuWeather forecast later in the show. Coming up next, Memorial Day observances on St. Thomas and St. Croix, plus highlights from the DPNR Boating Expo when we come back. Welcome back. The heavy rain was not enough to stop Memorial Day observances on St. Thomas over the weekend and on Monday. The community came out to show their appreciation and gratitude to fallen service members in an array of scheduled events. News 2's James Gardner also braved the weather to bring you this report.
As the rain came down on Monday, it gave the Memorial Day ceremony on St. Thomas a surreal feel. Many friends, family, and onlookers gathered to honor the sacrifices of those brave men and women who lost their lives while serving in the U.S. military. Originally known as Decoration Day, it originated in the years following the Civil War and became an official federal holiday in 1971.
As we remember, Memorial Day was once known as Decoration Day, for the practice of decorating the graves of the fallen service members with flowers, wreaths, flags. The name Memorial Day goes back to 1882, but Decoration Day did not fade away until after the end of World War II.
There was a seaside service before carrying on to the main ceremony held at the Franklin D. Roosevelt Veterans Park. In attendance were several senators, the Patrick U. George American Legion Post 90 Choir, veterans wearing their military clothes, Boys and Girl Scouts, and many members of the community. This year's keynote speaker was Deborah Henneman Smith, whose father and 2 brothers served. On this day, she talked about her brother Myron Buddy Henneman, who recently passed away.
Myron Burton Henneman is a true Virgin Islander hero. I am quite sure many of you have similar stories that you can tell. Perhaps next year you will be the keynote speaker to share your story. But I would want for us to, here in the territory, to always stand ready to support our loved ones who are currently serving and their families, to helping those who have served and have experienced diminished lives as a result of it.
24 veterans from the island of St. Thomas and St. John have died from July 9, 2018 to April 24, 2019. On the island of St. Croix, 22 veterans have died between June 5, 2018 and May 8, 2019. The ceremony finished with the song Taps. A rifle salute was given, wreaths were laid, and doves were released in honor of the soldiers who gave their lives. For News 2, this is James Gardner.
Meanwhile, on St. Croix, Governor Bryan joined the Virgin Islands National Guard Adjutant General Kojo Knox Limbacher in leading Memorial Day observances. Men and women in uniform representing various military branches marched on Monday in a procession that began at the Frederiksted Post Office Square and proceeded to the Frederiksted Cemetery. Government officials also took part in the traditional releasing of the doves and tossing of flowers into the harbor. During the ceremony, Governor Bryan urged attendees to return to the old days when the community showed stronger appreciation for the sacrifices of American servicemen and women around the world. Here's more.
There were days when I was young when everybody came out to the parade and marched to the sound of the drummer. And then we would go home and march all day long and we beat biscuit pans and act like we were enlisted as well. Those days are gone. And we need to remember that the people who made us enjoy the great liberties of this country and others all over the world have paid the ultimate sacrifice.
We will make many sacrifices. Unfortunately, like a few of our Virgin Islands National Guardsmen, some have made the ultimate sacrifice. Lieutenant Colonel David Cannigator III, Sergeant First Class Floyd Lake, Specialist Javon Naughton, Sergeant Ismail Harrigan. They have made the ultimate sacrifice while in service. As stated by George S. Patton, it is foolish to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank them that such men live. May God bless our fallen comrades, our Gold Star families, and all of you here today, the United States of America and these United States Virgin Islands. Thank you. God bless.
The Department of Planning and Natural Resources held a free safe boating expo at the Gallows Bay Fishermen's Boat Ramp last Saturday. There were exhibits, educational information about the waters surrounding the U.S. Virgin Islands, free life vest, games for the kids, boat rides, and live demonstrations. Now, members of the U.S. Coast Guard, DPNR, and the Virgin Islands Fire Service were also on hand to answer any and all questions regarding safe boating practice. The ultimate goal is safe boating. However, drinking alcohol while boating is extremely dangerous. Territorial Boating Safety Coordinator Juan Cruz explains how a game called Drunk Toss illustrates the effect alcohol can have on your ability.
One of the most common causes of boating accidents here in the Virgin Islands and also in the United States is boating under the influence. That's one of the biggest things that we have issues with. So doing the drunk toss is basically showing them how it affects your body, how it affects your vision. Your depth perception is completely off. So by watching the game, you can see when they're sober, how, they're very consistent in trying to get the balls in the bucket. But when they got the goggles on and they're under the influence, it's very difficult to get those balls in that bucket. And especially when you have 3 and 4 people on your boat at one time, you know, you're putting people at risk when you're basically drinking some kind of alcohol. So we try to promote, if you're going to be the captain of a vessel, make sure that you do not, you know, be drinking. For more boating and boating safety information, you can contact anyone at the Division of Environmental Enforcement. The phone number is 773-5774, or you can contact the St. Thomas office at 774-3320.
Since beginning their initiative in March to help beautify the territory by getting rid of abandoned vehicles, the island's administrators have removed more than 200 of them. On St. Thomas, Administrator Avery Lewis said about 175 vehicles have been removed. The process is slow, but we assure the community that we are answering calls and delivering service, Administrator Lewis said. The team is committed to making the Virgin Islands paradise again. On St. Croix, Administrator Samuel Sanis has disposed of 45 vehicles. We tagged them first, and owners have removed some of them before the date designated to remove them, Administrator Sanis said. There are so many vehicles all over the island. On St. John, Administrator Shakima Jones has said she has disposed of more than 30 abandoned vehicles, and since they have all been gone, she will continue removing other vehicles that are on the government roadways and property. It seems like the more we move, the more they pop up, Administrator Jones said. It's crazy how many abandoned vehicles St. John has. We are on a cleanup, going green beautification mission to get all of them step by step, road by road. All 3 administrators also expressed their thanks to the Virgin Islands Public Works Department and the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority for their assistance. I would like to thank the community for their patience in this matter, Administrator Jones said. I know it's been a long time coming, but we're moving forward and keeping our home clean. Now, Governor Albert Bryan Jr. announced on March 21st that the island administrators had convened the Abandoned Vehicle Task Force to begin tagging and removing the eyesores. The Office of the Administrator is working with coordinating agencies on the Abandoned Vehicle Task Force, and they are all working in collaboration with the public and private sectors. Individuals who fail to remove their abandoned vehicles face fines of no less than $1,000 in accordance with Title 20 Virgin Islands Code Chapter 49. In addition to retrieving cars, the Abandoned Vehicle Task Force will address other areas of public interest relating to overall safety concerns and to beautification of public spaces. To report an abandoned vehicle, please contact the Office of the St. Croix Administrator at 340-773-1404, extension 4806, the Office of the St. John Administrator at 340-776-6484, or the Office of the St. Thomas Water Island Administrator at 340-693-4350. Stick around. News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
Good evening. On your satellite, noticing lots of moisture streaming in from the south here. Back into Central America, we have this broad area of counterclockwise circulation, a broad area of low pressure, if you want to put it that way, that is funneling moisture in towards Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, and some of it even making its way out towards our area in the upper atmosphere. That's where we have those high clouds being really noticeable into our area. Usually this time of year, we have a better chance for sun. The past several days just hasn't been the case. As we take a closer look, we are continuing to notice Puerto Rico in towards the Virgin Islands as a whole, so the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands pretty much on the wet side, and that's going to be the trend for tomorrow as well. Now, we are under a flash flood watch. What we mean by watch is that the ingredients are there. We have ample amounts of moisture for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands that can lead to flooding situations. So the best chance for that is when we'll see some of these cells bringing some heavy downpours for tonight and even as we move into tomorrow. Spotty showers, yes, but some are bringing in the chance for a rumble of thunder in towards St. John, St. Thomas, and as well as St. Croix. So for your Thursday, a high of 85 in St. John, rainy at times, sun going to be limited in St. Thomas, also in the mid 80s, and we'll definitely needing the umbrellas in St. Croix as well. With these clusters of moisture coming our way, that's where we'll see the heavy downpours and the likelihood for some flooding concerns across the islands. For your marine forecast, waves running 3 to 5 feet, winds out of the southeast 10 to 15 knots. Caribbean side a little less active with the waves 2 to 4 feet, and winds out of the southeast 10 to 15 knots. Now we head into the rest of this week being weather alert because we still have the potential for showery conditions Friday and into your Saturday, and that's going to really seem to be the case all the way into Sunday, but Sunday being the least active day with some improvements as we head into your Monday.
Thank you for that. Coming up next, Alex Randall's news and comments when we return.
You're watching News 2. This is Alex Randall with News and Comment. Good news from our Water and Power Authority. They are in compliance. The Water and Power Authority has been under a consent decree for donkey years, and they just got a good review. Back in the old days, the power plants used to exceed emission standards. Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Justice issued a consent decree requiring the Water and Power Authority to come into compliance with air pollution rules. Part of the success is because they moved away from fuel oil. Oil makes nasty pollution. The main goal now is to stay in compliance. And the good news is, instead of reporting quarterly, WAPA only has to make an annual report. Good for you, WAPA. Huge argument over what to do with the one-time $40 million Medicaid reimbursement. Should it all go to the hospitals, or should some of the money go to pay off the hospital's bills to other organizations? Now, this is a one-time windfall. Right now, the hospitals owe about $22 million to the Water and Power Authority. That is more than half of the $40 million windfall. Governor Juan Luis Hospital owes $54 million to its vendors, the folks who sell medicine and supplies. They owe $13 million to WAPA. They also owe a pile of money to the GERS. Now, on the other side, there are some St. Croix senators who want to use the windfall to raise salaries for hospital employees. They say the employees haven't gotten a raise in 15 years. That may not be a good policy, because who pays the raises after the windfall has been spent? So who's going to get the windfall? The hospitals, the staff, or the organizations to which the hospitals owe money? GERS poised to sell Carambola Beach Resort to an organization called Davis Bay. Davis Bay says they want to buy food from local farmers. They want local mangoes. They want local beef. They want Armstrong ice cream, cut to the chase. But can the local farmers provide on a consistent basis? Davis wants to do some construction, so they're ready for the high season. Then they say they're going to approach Renaissance about getting the Carambola Beach Resort rebranded as a Renaissance property. Putting a government agency in receivership is a fancy way of saying we couldn't do it on our own. You know, our local Department of Education has to do all of its procurement using federal funds through a third party. Well, now here comes District Court Judge Curtis Gomez. He wants to put our Waste Management Authority under federal receivership. That would be the end of local management of trash collection and landfills. Now, on the other hand, it might get our landfills in compliance. Federal receivership might mean getting rid of the 100,000 scrap tires at Pavoni and the pile at Anguilla and St. Croix. Is it 200,000 tires at Anguilla? Or is it 400,000 tires? Local management seems not to be able to get rid of the tire problem. How do you make it easier to do business with the Virgin Islands? It would help if more of the Division of Corporations and Trademarks was online. Now they are. Lieutenant Governor Tregenza Roach announced the new Uniform Commercial Code module available in their online Catalyst system. Now businesses can pay their fees online. Businesses can transact with corporations and trademarks from pretty much anywhere in the world. Lieutenant Governor says his job is to make it easier doing business with the territory. Make it as easy as possible. Way to go, Lieutenant Governor. Okay, so you own a car and the car quits. What do? Haul it to the dump? Well, if you're like 200 other people in the Virgin Islands, you just abandon the car on the roadside and walk away. Ain't my problem. So the government has to haul your car away. And that means you and I are paying for someone else's irresponsibility. 175 cars on St. Thomas this year, 45 on St. Croix. Hello, people. Will you please be responsible for your own stuff? Finally, is it really raining? It seems like we've had no rain since Christmas. And suddenly in the last few days, there's rain coming down. Now, part of me is upset because I hate getting wet. I hate to get rained on as I walk to the car and walk to my office. On the other hand, I'm elated. I had to buy water 4 times this season. That is a lot of money spent on something that is usually free. So let it rain. No, better still, let it pour. But wait a second, flash floods? Yikes! The National Weather Service is talking about flash floods and mudslides and 4 to 6 inches of rain. We had dry for 5 months and then flash flooding. Can I really complain? Thanks for watching. This is Alex Randall with News and Comment. Now back to Leslie.
Thank you for that, Alex. And that's it for our show tonight. We're live on Facebook and YouTube and on via Channel 4 and 504 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. Follow us on social media. Tag us on any stories you want to see on the news or send us a message on Messenger. You can also email us at newsdirector@tv2.vi. Thanks again for joining us on News 2. I'm Leslie Camisiang, and we'll see you next time.